Thank you, Brooke. That was very informative about analyzing the problems and its causes that we are going to be discussing today. Just to recap, Brooke kind of discussed uh, the different kinds of crimes going on in Youngstown. One example she had talked about was the people breaking into houses. There is a lot of theft when it comes to breaking into houses and stealing other people's possessions. Um, which, because of all this crime in Youngstown, it makes it a non desirable place to live. No one really wants to move here because of the crime rate so high. I mean, I know if not growing up here, I wouldn't want to go to an area where the crime rate is so tremendously high. I mean, it could be dangerous. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. So, therefore, the population in Youngstown has gone down tremendously over the years. A lot of these crime related issues have to deal with the drug problem that Youngstown has as well. When your body is on these different kinds of drugs, it compromises the way you think, the way you act, the way you do things. Sometimes you probably won't even realize you're committing a crime when you're committing it due to the fact that you could be on drugs, that you are on drugs. Um, a lot of violent crimes are we hear about rape, we hear about theft, we hear about robbery, we hear about sexual harassment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it really comes back, honest to God, it comes back to way back when the steel mills in Youngstown closed. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to move. They couldn't afford to live here, so they had to revert to some of these crimes. That's basically what Brooke was saying. So I'm going to go on to discuss the violent crimes examples, which I already did. The violent crimes, right here. Robbery, property crimes, the list goes on and on and on. So poverty is a huge thing in this area. It's tremendous. There is a lot of people under the federal poverty line in the city of Youngstown. People get very frustrated at the fact that they don't have jobs, so they feel the need to take from others because they feel they deserve something as well. So if you can't afford a lot, they feel the only way to get what they need to survive is to steal and commit these crimes. They get very mad. People act out again when they are on or in poverty. That's a place no one should want to be in. Like, no one wants that. Another huge factor is kids who tend to not graduate high school and don't get that degree have a huge problem with not finding a job in the end. No one wants to hire an uneducated person, and that trend kinds to tend to continue down to their kids, and it just kind of goes in a circle. So then there comes into a drug problem because they don't have any. They feel like they don't have anything to live for, etc. So it's very important that these kids get their degrees, and do well in school. Again, we're going to bring up the fact that drugs do have a huge impact on the way people act and think and commit crimes. A lot of these are drug related. It all comes back to the drugs in the city of Youngstown. We have the factor of income inequality. We have the fact that these school systems are so poor in teaching these kids the values of life and hard work pays off. They don't know any different. They come from families who don't really work hard, so they feel that they just fall into each other's footsteps, and the circle continues. It's also the city's fault, the fact that we have such poor school systems. It's not fair to these kids, it's not fair to these families that want something, that want to make something of themselves. Therefore, because of all of these issues combined, Youngstown has a very poor economy. No one wants to live in a city where the economy is so very poor. So we have 6 solutions that we came up with, or ideas that we came up with to help with these problems. The first 2, providing more cops, more surveillance on the streets, gets people out, gets people in trouble more. They catch more if we have more cops out there. Also, putting up street cameras, getting people caught on cameras to prove that they are guilty of their crimes and to put them in prison or in jail, whatever it is, to get them off the streets to reduce the crime rate. Some more examples. Our third one being, We need to implement better school programs for these teens, for these young kids, to show them how it can impact their life. Getting drug prevention programs, because it all comes back to the drug use in our city. Another example, or should I say, another way of dealing with this is getting ex-cons off the street into better housing, getting them jobs, finding them to motivate themselves to be a better person in society. So another thing is improving in the juvenile justice system of the school, catching these kids early, showing them what's wrong, showing them what's right. And our last and final that I'm going to discuss is neighborhood watch programs. If we implement neighborhood watch programs, everyone can keep an eye on each other, and we could slowly make this community a better community to live in and a safer place to live. That is all I have. I'm going to now pass it down to Kyle. So Kyle, take it away, kiddo.